All right, I'm a consumer advocate. So that basically means I'm not licensed to do anything besides drive a car. So I bring in people a lot smarter than me. And today we talked about the financial market, interior design, mortgage, real estate. All these things are really important. We got to have our legal corner. Nobody better to have in here than our exclusive attorney for the program, AJ Gupta. AJ, good to have you on the show, man.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having me.
Busy guy out in court doing big cases, but it's always good to sit you down. Real quick, since we talked a lot about real estate today, you've seen a lot of these top producing realtors. One of the things earlier this year that you had mentioned to me, and I think you probably referenced on this program as well, anytime you buy a home, you should have an attorney look at things. Explain why, because we've talked so much about real estate today. I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. There's everyone that you surround yourself as you buy a home is going to be interested in closing a deal.
Right.
This is the challenge that I think most home buyers and sellers have, whether it's the commission to the broker, to the mortgage guy, the payment to the title company, the escrow company. All these guys only get paid if you close. And there's really nobody pushing on the brakes a little bit to say, is this a smart decision for me? And that's really the role of your attorney, to really look at this objectively and say, well, you know, is title clean? Is this going to be an issue down the road? Do you, maybe even looking at the financials a little bit, does this make sense for you to buy it? Or are there issues with the inspection that need to be examined?
I got to say, AJ, and this is just my opinion, it's a little, I don't know, I think it's a little wrong that everything you just named off has a commission tied to the deal closing and makes nothing if the deal doesn't close. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to, I mean, we talked a lot about the industry. I respect the industry, but I think that is a missing component from the industry. But the good news is, again, consumer advocate, my advice to you is if you're buying a home, you're selling a home, have an attorney look at things, not just the contract, you have an earnest deposit attached to it, but title insurance, and just making sure, look, San Diego, there's a lot of flip properties, a lot of condo legal issues. Have a guy like AJ take a look. But what if you own a home? I know that you deal with a lot of interesting cases on eviction. Earlier, not this year, but a few years ago, I have a property in Missouri. I couldn't get my tenant out of it, and I learned the hard way that the laws are on the side of the tenant. So even if someone's not paying their rent, they don't care that you got a mortgage, and it can get pretty ugly. So being a property manager, there's a lot of lessons to learn there as well. Talk about a good opportunity to connect with an attorney. What do we need to know on that front?
So the not paying rent situation, in some respects, is the ideal eviction. It's very clear cut. Yeah. You know exactly what you're dealing with. And I wanted to go through some timelines as to what you can expect from both a landlord and a tenant side, and what you can expect to pay for your basic eviction. So I don't think that a non-payment of rent situation is necessarily on the side of the tenant. Evictions happen really fast in California. Really, they're viewed as almost one step above a traffic ticket. There's actually a separate court that handles UDs in most instances when you're dealing with, you know, sums less than a certain dollar value. So, and you can really get a UD pushed through in about 30 days. From the homeowner's side, there's certain things that you need to really understand. I think the lease is important. Having a good, solid lease in place for every period of time that the tenant is in there is very, very important. I think you should be familiar with basic concepts like a 3-day notice and a 30-day notice. So, for example, for that non-payment of rent, the first step as a landlord is obviously you reach out to the tenant and make sure they didn't get run over by a car, you know, and you just couldn't bust out their checkbook. But, you know, after you do that, you've got to issue a 3-day notice. You've got to do it quickly. And a 3-day notice really puts them on notice that you're serious. And you know, obviously you want to be sympathetic to circumstances.
There's steps you have to take.
Yeah.
You know, when you say that, you know, non-rent payment is actually one of the easier ones, you're probably right. I had a friend last year that couldn't get somebody out, and when they finally did, they found out that this individial had pigs in the house.
Awesome.
And the pigs, ran to the house, tore the whole place up.
Good job.
You couldn't make it up if you tried. I saw pictures of it. It was, to me, I wasn't the one financially hurt. It was hilarious. I'm sure anyone watching, but he didn't find it to be so funny. California national and state laws are always changing, and you've kind of coined the phrase. I think it's tokers versus non-smokers. So well done there. We'll have to patent that for you or trademark it.
I think we stole that from somebody.
Anyway, yeah, but you know, you see these things now. Explain what you mean. This is something I know it's a hot topic.
Yeah, this started with my brother. He called me from D.C. and he said, well, I'll refrain from using his actual language, but yeah, I've got these neighbors that are just, 9 o'clock in the morning and they started smoking weed. And
wake and bake.
Yeah, wake and bake, I guess. And so I thought, wow, that's interesting. I mean, what if they do have a permit? What if they have a prescription for this? And, well, if they can't smoke in their house with a prescription, where do they smoke? They can't do it on the street.
Okay, so like you might have a place where in the lease you can't smoke cigarettes. Right.
Well, and so it gets a little more complicated because at that point in time, these people may have a disability. Are you now discriminating against somebody with a disability because you're not allowing to smoke pot in your house? Which
so your brother is upset that someone is smoking in a home, they're waking and baking in a home. You, as the attorney, is looking at. I would be upset as well. However, if they have a medical license for it.
Yeah. And candidly, like, these are the more fun situations, I guess, as an attorney. I like to say it's fun, but obviously, if you're the landlord who's getting threats from the neighbor for nuisance violations, or just simply doesn't want somebody smoking pot in your house, where?
Yeah, they're probably taking good care of the house. I mean, probably causing no trouble, maybe laughing a lot and falling asleep.
Yeah, watching a lot of TV and cooking a lot of brownies. But but maybe you just don't want it. Maybe that's just something that you've decided. Maybe it's fully furnished and you don't want pot smell in your,
maybe brownies are the solution.
Maybe brownies are. Well, and candidly, the law isn't clear on this issue because while California recognizes medical marijuana as a right and something that's necessary, the federal government doesn't.
Tricky.
So, and you get into this confluence or this conflict actually between state law and federal law because a lot of the discrimination laws come from the Fair Housing Act and the American Disabilities Act, and so that's federal law, though. And so the real issue then becomes from a landlord sitting here in California, or even a tenant. Maybe you want to smoke pot in your house and you've got a prescription for it. And you have a legit, and maybe so. The courts haven't really come down on this, and some states actually do have specific laws that say, look, we're going to allow medical marijuana, and you as a landlord have to allow it. And that's the easy
Interesting
solution.
Finish to the show here, AJ
Yeah.
Gupta.
Yeah.
Man, great way to finish.
Put it in your
convention.
lease. Put it in your lease.
Yeah,
So
really
there it
think
is.
about it. No,
That's- yeah.
my advice on all of this is, it's a fun topic. Had a lot of fun talking about it today. But look, interesting times that we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
We're getting into a GOP race. We'll probably be talking about stuff like this. But great way to finish the show, man. We covered a lot today. I got a hard break here. Thank you so much for joining us on The American Dream.